Howdy. I'm Gray Pilgrim. Hold on just a second. Oh, yeah. Oh, what you're looking at here is my, I think it's 1859 Frank Wesson. I was just looking at it, just enjoying it, and thinking about actually expending a 32 round, which this shoots 32 rimfire. It's a weird system. I mean, take a look at these triggers here. You see those? I mean, it's just so weird. If you want to shoot it, you pull this trigger here. This one, the front one, let's see, put it into half cock, and it pops it open to shove a round in, or extract the round that's in there. This is the extractor. Isn't that cool? I saw that in the gun shop and I just thought, I've got to have it. These metal stripes that are here, there's a crack in the stock here, and this is a 19th century repair. I'm leaving it alone. I'm not going to restore it to back original. I'm going to leave whoever put this on, leave it the way it is. This is not what you'd call Bubba. This is what you call antique Bubba. Anyway, that's not really what I came to talk about. This is sort of a rant video. Yeah, it's time for another rant. You see what happened at Maui, Hawaii? They blocked off the only paved road out of that town. They turned off the water. Then they turned off the power. And the pencil pushers said that they couldn't get the rights to turn everything back on because nobody filled out the right forms. They should put a nice friendly gallows downtown and introduce all those people to a little longer neck. Just my own opinion. And if things keep going the way they're going, I think such things may start happening. Do you hear they're trying to reinstitute the mask mandate? I don't just say no, I say hell no. I don't give a golden goddamn about what they say about follow the science. I know science. My dad taught me to read abstracts when I was a kid. He was a scientist. He used to pull the AAAS journal out and plop it on the table. Came out weekly. He says, I don't care if you understand it or not, read the abstract on every article in here. And I did. Words I didn't understand. Dad, what is myocardia? What's coacervate? Words I had no idea what they meant, but he told me. Actually, most of them he knew off the top. My dad was a genius. But half of them he says, I don't recall, but if you look in such and such, third volume, page 245, I think it's in the third paragraph. And there it was. He was a genius. Yeah, I'm not anywhere near as smart as he was, but I did learn a few tricks on how to look things up. Matter of fact, I memorized the Dewey Decimal System long before the internet. I used to sit in a coffee house in Albuquerque, and people would just come up to me and say, hey, what do you know about blah, blah, blah? And I would say, well, I don't know much, but, and then they would start taking notes. These were college kids. They would come up and just ask me. I was sort of the other reference, and I said, well, just go over to the library. UNM, Zimmerman Library, go to the stacks. I think it's on the 4th floor. Take a look in the 300 section. You'll find it. And they did. And I couldn't tell them what page it was on or that, but I could tell them where to find generally the book. And now we're supposed to believe these suits, these goddamn suits that don't know squat. What was his name? Oliver Anthony? Spot on. Spot on. Look, yes, I was trained by a scientist in my youth. I worked in IT. Not your ditch digging, but believe me, in my youth I washed enough dishes and dug enough ditches that I know a little bit about work. I worked on my granddad's ranch when I was a kid. I used to buck hay. I learned to drive on an old Ford Dexter tractor. I'm basically a well-educated hayseed. That's what I am. I'm just a dumb shit who happens to know a little bit about a lot of things. But I know a lot of folks around here where I live now, They're backwoods hill people. They work logging, worked at sawmills, did other kinds of grunt work. And they're just as smart as anybody else. Yeah, they don't have the fancy super duper initials after their name, but you ask them and you can find out things that you'd never hear anywhere else. They're smart people, and they're people that I can respect and love and do. Anyway, I'm just kind of stirred up a bit because I'm watching the news. Not news. I'm watching YouTube videos. I stopped believing network news long ago. Back in the day, I used to go to this newsstand that was, I was in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and it was just off the Sena Plaza near the main plaza. And there was a little coffee house there. You could get a latte. This is long before Starbucks. You get a latte, you sit down, you go over to the newsstand first, and you pick up a copy of Le Monde, the London Times, maybe the Standard, Deutsche Welle. All of the other, I used to get the Straits Times of Singapore. There was an English language journal that came out of Mexico City and another out of Buenos Aires. And I would have this stack of papers about that big, spend about $10. Back then, you could get a copy of the Denver Post for a dime. And I was spending $10 because that's what all these big papers cost. And I would sit down and have actually several lattes or cups of coffee and a sweet roll or something, and I would read the world news. And I did that about once a month. And I wasted a lot of trees. So what? I found out what was going on. I found out what was going on from other people. For an example here that you can find today on YouTube, look for a fellow called Sanity for Sweden. I don't remember his first name, but he's a big guy. He has a farm. He and his girlfriend live there, and they produce produce a lot. And this time of year, of course, you got lots of produce. And you got tomatoes, you got potatoes or something. So what do? You share them with your neighbors. Well, he's sharing them with purebloods, people who haven't got the jab. I'm a pureblood. I wouldn't do that if you paid me. I wouldn't do that if you paid the whole country. I like my life. I have my own vices. Heck, recently I started smoking a pipe again, and cigars. Yeah, it's a vice. I'm 70. I can do that. Why? Because nothing else has killed me so far. So I'll do that. Oh my goodness, what about the last 6 months of your life? You mean when you're decrepit, you can't think, you're Alzheimer's ridden, and you're just sitting around and somebody else is saying, here, go pee over there and then go sit in the sun and just leave us alone while we rob you blind? No. No. I'll enjoy myself while I enjoy myself. And when the time comes, well, I have a date with that I've made with, the fellow upstairs that says, I'm going to have brandy and pistols for one in the library. Make it neat and tidy. And I've written up my all the appropriate paperwork to make sure that everything is taken care of. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Oh gosh, I need to fix that. A lot of things to fix. I still got wood to chop up. Other chores that got to get done. When you live in the country, you've got chores to do. And the one thing I missed all the years I lived in the city were chores to do. Feeding chickens, slopping hogs. Yeah, I slopped hogs on my granddad's ranch. I had to do all kinds of things. Going out there and running the wire. You go down there and look at the barbed wire along the fence row. Okay, there's a break here. Well, you take you find some baling wire and put it all back together again and mark it. So the next time you come through with some real barbed wire, you can fix that section. But you fix it now just so that the cows don't get through and into the neighbor's field. Yeah, I'm babbling. I know, I'm babbling. Anyway, I collect guns now, and I know that people would love to red flag me over collecting guns. After all, it's an irrational hobby. Hell with you. I'm a historian. Look, I'm a historian. That's what I do. I majored in history in college. And I never used it professionally, but that's what I learned. And my interests were medieval history back then, and now it's the history of firearms, war, and stuff. I've got a large collection of the biographies of various generals. And what I did during World War II by Rommel and Patton, and I've got Monty's book. I've got many of them. I've got them going back to, you ever heard of Maurice de Saxe, Marshal of France? Look him up. Worth reading. He's the one who popularized marching and cadence. Ever heard of Vigitus? He was a Roman who wrote on military affairs. Frederick the Great's My Advice to My Generals. Napoleon Bonaparte, his amanuensis, his writings about his memoirs. He didn't write them, but his amanuensis did. They're on and on and on. You learn a lot. Sun Tzu, Clausewitz. Yeah. Other things. Read about Colt. Read about Smith & Wesson. This is made by Frank Wesson, Daniel Wesson of Smith & Wesson, his younger brother. He sold this in 1859. A 44 rimfire version of this was used, hundreds and hundreds of them, by the Union. Various troops that came from different states. Ohio might have bought 200, and Illinois might have bought 400, for their troops. But and the thing is that this is a breech firing or breech loading rimfire, which was a whole lot simpler than front stuffers. Anyway, I find it to be an absolutely beautiful old example of a 19th century firearm. And I think it's really cool. I'm not into black rifles. Yes, I have one, but I'm not really into them. I mean, they're fun. They're all that. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos of, yeah, this is what I did. I bought from such and such, and it made a faster trigger or sleeker look, or put some a red dot on it. I mean, I'd never put a red dot on this. I mean, that would be sacrilege. Anyway, I know, I'm just babbling. Well, if you like my babblings, let me know in the comments. Let me know when I start ranting about stuff like this. Hawaii? Those are Americans. They're Americans. What the hell is going on? And then Biden says, well, here, have $700 each. They just lost their babies. Over 1,000 of them are dead. But the official record is maybe 100 and some odd. All these babies were home while dad and mom were out busting ass to try and make enough money to pay for life. And here's the kids crowding around in the bathtub with the last vestige of the water, trying to get away from the fire when they get cooked. And all we get is him telling us all about his Corvette in his garage. Biden needs to go. I don't care where he goes. I would like to tell him where to go, but I'm sure that the Secret Service and FBI are watching this, and I'm not going to say what I really think. But obscene? If he was just obscene, that would be an improvement. He's an incompetent buffoon, and we're stuck with this idiot. Anyway, enough of my rant. I think it's time to go and chop some wood. Happy trails.